Hello and welcome to another edition of A Better Minneapolis. Today is going to be our holiday edition, and my guests today are going to talk about Uptown and some of the things that are going on there. I have Judy Longbottom, Andrea Corbin, and Carol Becker. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So people may be aware that construction has ended on Hennepin, and we're very much hoping to get people to visit Uptown and take advantage of some of the things going on there now. There's also a new rapid bus line called the E-Line that goes from the university through Uptown and over to Edina and then down to the mall.
The old 6 line.
Yeah, it's replacing that. I think the route has changed a little bit, so hopefully people will check that. But yeah, some great things are happening. I want to mention that the Uptown Association has a calendar online, so people can see some of the great things happening, like the Troubadour Wine Bar has live music. There's Light Up the Wedge. I think there's like a contest going on. People can submit photos, right? The Phoenix Theater, which I have not been to, but this might be a good reason to go. It's at 2605 Hennepin. They're having Nutcracker Noir, a sensual cirque ballet. So that's interesting. I don't know if you...
That piques your interest.
Yeah. The Granada Theater, which people may not know, has been redone. They're hosting some holiday movies. There's a band called the Rolling Stoners at the Green Room. I've heard great things about the Green Room. So are there any other things going on, openings that you would like to share? I think you mentioned a couple new restaurants.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff happening in Uptown. Just to name a few, there's a new jazz club called the Brownstone, which is on the corner of 28th and Hennepin, next to the Isle Bun place, home of the, world's famous cinnamon roll, where the lines are always out the door now. Chiba Hut, which is recently opened, which is across from the Moxie in the Archer building. Toasted subs and great food, good environment, full bar. And then another one is Arizona Tacos, which is opening up or anticipated for March of 2026 in 7 Points, the old Arts and Rec spot. And 7,000 square feet. So this is going to be a great place to check out when they open up their doors. Marcos and Sheila Ayala and their sons. This will be their second location of Arizona Tacos. I've heard their food is incredibly good, and the other location is in New Hope. But they're incredibly excited. They're going to offer salsa dancing, cooking classes, and all kinds of wonderful things. So lots to check out.
I hope that the salsa dancing includes lessons, right?
Right.
Yeah, because that's definitely not something I know.
Just going to throw you out there and flail away.
I hope there's no cameras for that, so for sure. So yeah,
Says the guy doing a podcast.
Well, I'm sitting. I don't want to be filmed dancing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, Terry.
Your next podcast, we're all going to stand up at the end and dance. People will wait for that moment.
We'll probably get a lot of traffic on that one. So, well, that's good. Stuff's happening at 7 Points. I think a lot of people are curious about the future there, right? I know some plans have been approved. They're going to be doing some building there, right? Putting in some apartments.
New apartments, 226 unit building that Doran is the builder and owner of. As well as we just finished and completed the holiday market a couple weeks ago that was attended by many, many people in the community. We thought that we had over 750 visitors for that one-day event from 10 to 2, so that was quite a great turnout. There's a Christmas tree lot that we've held at 7 Points as well for 3 weekends in a row with collaboration between the Uptown Association and the Rotary. That's been really well received, and people in the community have stepped out and purchased their trees there, and we're very grateful. And then, of course, Holidays on Hennepin that we hope everybody has heard loud and clear, where you can pick up your participating businesses a physical passport that has a spot for each of the participating businesses to get a little rubber stamp, with the goal of completing at least 20 rubber stamps, turning it in by January 5th to Kowalski's, who will be drawing for all kinds of prizes and giveaways. But the greater purpose is, please go out and support your local Uptown businesses, especially after we've successfully survived the construction process and stuff. This was a great initiative brought by Will Stenzel and a group of people, volunteers, that have come together to help all these local businesses decorate over the top, much like Red Cow and Nico's had done in the past, but you know, putting people like my UPS store to do the same, and it's been very fun.
And you have some free items to help people decorate, right? Right? What is that?
So we were contacted yesterday by Karen Bachman of the Bachman's Group, and she has generously offered 500 free poinsettias. So we have partnered with Marcus and Sheila at the new Arizona Taco location to take delivery on Monday of these poinsettias, with the intention of reaching out to the greater community and finding as many places. Yes.
Come,
please
people,
come
get your
get
flowers.
poinsettias. I believe the physical address for them is 3008 Hennepin Avenue, but check out the Uptown Association site. I hope to have that updated by this weekend with details. But it's free poinsettias, and again, our goal is to either have you bring them to your family, friends, or deliver to some senior housing type of
that's a good idea.
situations,
Yeah.
churches, anybody that in the community that you think could need some cheering up during this holiday season. And we'd really like to thank Bachman's for this generous donation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
I'm
500.
very excited.
Yeah.
To be part of it.
I'm sure they'll all go as well. Well, that's good to hear. And you mentioned the Uptown Association website. People can also, like I mentioned, go out and find out about a lot of the events and also post their own events, right? There's a way for them to do that?
Go to info@uptownminneapolis.com, which is an email inbox that we monitor with any questions, concerns, and we will do our very level best to make sure that you get a response for any kind of ideas or concerns or questions that you have that the Uptown Association can help with. We feel incredibly grateful for the amount of people that are showing up and getting involved with the organization and volunteering with our different committees. So this is a great time for Uptown. I'm very enthusiastic and positive about the future.
And I think, didn't a art gallery just open too? Right there across from the mall, I think there's a new little art gallery that's open.
Oh yes, by the Jazz Club. There's one too.
Okay.
Oh no, that one's clothing, next to the what's going to be the
across
Jazz
street,
Club.
It's part of the what is that?
You're right. Okay.
Vibrant Storefront
Yeah.
initiative that the city is putting on. Yep. Yeah.
So 7 Points Vibrant Storefronts, Curioso Coffee, which some of you may or may not have visited at the physical space in 7 Points. Aaron Blazer, partner with his partner Luke, and we're part of the group that received the Vibrant Storefront grant, along with Amanda Valone, who owns and operates Artrageous, which some of you may or may not be familiar with, who does kits for kids. So you could have a birthday party and each kid would put together a kit, or you can go now to her physical space, and it's Old People's Organic Space at 7 Points. So you can grab a coffee and a snack and then do an art project with the kids. And so that's a new space too.
So I think it's great. It's a sign there's a lot of momentum with the Uptown Association right now. I think some of these stores and different programs are like a sign that people are committed to seeing Uptown thrive, and you're working in the background on some things too, right? So you had I think you're doing a quarterly meeting now, right, to try and hear businesses and get their feedback. And you mentioned you're doing some tours of the area for people to see what's available in terms of rent and things like that.
Yeah, the Uptown Association has just started a series of open houses. We started in the Victoria's Secret building where we opened it up to just anyone really that's interested in coming. And the hope is to not just get brokers to show up to this, but also other building owners that maybe take a call for a tenant that might not work out for them, but then if they're familiar with the building across the street, they can maybe call up their fellow building owner and say, hey, I got a tenant for you. So the board of the Uptown Association went and toured the Rainbow Building last week with Taylor. That was just incredible to see the space there and all the different, both office and retail opportunities that are there. And there's some rock bottom, just incredible pricing that the building owners are willing to lease for right now. So it's just an incredible opportunity for people to get in at a ground level. And the Uptown Association is working together to bring in businesses on a bigger scale. So put our heads together, figure out what the community wants as far as retail locations to come back there, and then seek out those businesses and kind of curate our own little shopping area like we used to have.
Yeah.
Bring Uptown back.
And where, remind me where the Rainbow Building's at? Where's that located?
That's on the corner of Lake and Hennepin.
Okay.
The sparkly one, right?
Ah.
It's
Like
got
the
the
little-
rainbow.
Used to have Chinos.
Yeah.
That's their space.
Oh, okay. All
And the
right.
Mac place
Yeah.
on the corner.
And the
And then a lot of
theater's
office
there
space.
in that. Okay.
Uptown Theater's right next door.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess part of the reason why we're talking today too is we're closing out the year, and I wanted to discuss like what we're hoping to see in the area in 2026. There's a new city councilor in Ward 7, Elizabeth Schaefer, so that'll bring a little bit different attention to the area. But a lot of the problems that maybe existed before are still there, but it seems like they're getting more attention and more focus. And so one of the things that maybe you could talk about is the letter writing campaign that you're doing. I think the Minneapolis Times, at which Carol's an editor, they've run a couple of letters of someone's experience of going down Hennepin that was less than positive. I think it's fair to say that. So tell me about the letter writing campaign, and maybe, I don't know, Carol, if you want to give a background on the letters I'm mentioning that were published on the Minneapolis Times.
So, I mean, if you come uptown, I mean, there's a couple of major issues, and one of them is drug users in public and drug sales. And this is a problem that's happening all over South Minneapolis. And so there have been some people who have been documenting. We had one individual in particular who wrote about what they were experiencing and in fact sent some pictures of the problems. And this is just one of the just really fundamental issues that's creating headwinds for Uptown, is the just almost acceptance by the city that people who are unable to take care of themselves and inebriated or high are just wandering around in the streets, and then where they are, drug dealers are, and where drug dealers are, there is violence. And so the Uptown people are going to start putting pressure on the city council to start doing something about this. We can't just accept this as a city, because everywhere we see the drug dealers and the drug users, the city withers. And so, and this is kind of a result of the, defund the police movement and, the anti-police forces that we've had on the city council. We now have a new city council, and it's now time for a new agenda. And so citizens are organizing to start putting pressure on their council members. Do you want to speak more about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it happened organically from a resident that just moved back from California and saw some of the policies that were implemented there in his hometown that made it impossible for him and his wife to have an affordable lifestyle. They were staying in a tiny little apartment and paying $3,000 a month. And they couldn't even go outside and walk their dog. The crime and the homelessness and active drug use was so bad over there. So Kevin Norman and his wife moved back to Uptown. They actually bought a house just a few blocks from Lake and Hennepin. And remembered Uptown when it was, an amazing place to be. And they just feel like the policies that we've implemented here are kind of going to follow suit to what they saw happen in California, and they don't want that for Minneapolis and their hometown.
Is there an example of one of the policies you think is kind of holding us back? Or?
Yeah, well, she specifically said that there was mountains of just trash, you know, clothing and items and things.
Needles,
and a huge
foils, are the,
Yeah.
and then
and she asked the police officer there, you know, why don't you remove this trash? She said, you know how we have mountains of snow? You know, and she's like,
Yeah.
there was mountains of garbage there. And, you know, nobody was tending to it, nobody was touching it, but it was just there. And the police officer looked at her and said, well, the reason why we don't clear it is because we have an ordinance against that, because they're, you know, this is private property. This is somebody's property. So they got to the point where they were calling, you know, abandoned trash somebody's property that it shouldn't be touched, you know. So things like that were just completely devastating to the community over there, and we're increasing actually the cost of living, and making it impossible for them to have a lifestyle there. So they moved back with hopes of change of lifestyle and more affordable housing, which we have here, which is phenomenal. So he wrote a letter, and he copied in the Uptown Association and several of our elected officials. Carol Becker, you were copied in on
no,
it too?
we actually published the letter
Yeah.
in the Minneapolis Times, and then we
Yeah.
actually published his follow-up.
Yeah, so it made headwinds. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that, you know, forwarded on the letter to other people. Have you seen this? Oh my gosh, you know, he's speaking out, and he's raising some really good concerns. And so Judy and I got together, and we said, well, let's meet with him and see if we can do a letter writing campaign, because he was already, you know, going down that path. And so we had started a letter writing campaign with our Vibrant Lindale website and Action Network. And so we just said, hey, you know, why don't we work together on organizing some of the neighborhood groups? Because we've heard from the neighborhood groups, you know, what is the Uptown Association doing about some of these issues, you know, to kind of work with the city and let them know that we're not okay with this. And so we've gotten a lot of pressure from the neighborhood groups too to take action, and so we're really excited about this. We're actually hosting a meeting the second week of January.
And so how can, if people want to be, I guess, what are you asking people to do? You want them to show up to the meeting and write a letter about their experience of Uptown?
Yeah, so
or
Action Network is actually a really amazing platform. It's used by a lot of other groups to get things done at a municipal level. So basically, it's with the click of a button, you can send out a letter to your elected official. The email address for the elected official is already in the email. There's a pre-canned letter that you can just sign off on, or you can adjust the letter and put in your own words. So it just makes it very easy for an average citizen to share their concerns without having to go in and find the email address of their city council person or their aides. It's one place, and the power of having a letter writing campaign is that you're sending in a large amount of emails in a short period of time to let your elected officials know that this is something their constituents are concerned about real time. So a lot of people, you know, they have a concern, they send in an email or two, and it kind of gets lost, right? But this is where advocacy steps in, where you get together in a large group and many voices make a big impact at City Hall. So that's what we're hoping to do, is get community together, all the neighborhood groups, the Uptown Association, the Rotary Club, and just to inform everybody too about, you know, what to do about it, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, I call 911 and then, you know, what happens after that? Well, when you call 911, then it goes into a database and that's tracked. And when more resources come into the city, they look at the database and how many calls they're getting in a specific area, and resources are deployed there first. So the fact that a lot of people have gotten discouraged and are not calling, I think is having an opposite effect, and we want to really encourage people to start calling again.
One
So-
of the best things you can do is call, and keep calling. mean, it's a numbers game at the city about where the problems are. And the more that, if you see somebody who is unable to take care of themselves, call again. Keep calling. You see somebody the next day, call again, because that's how resources are deployed at the city.
Right.
And is it a 911 call or a 311?
So if there's active drug use happening, somebody is, risking their life on the street, definitely that's a 911 call. If you see a needle or feces or things that are dangerous to public health, that's also a 911 call. If you see some suspicious activity, that's more of a 311 call. Or nuisance, that's a 311 call. But yeah, it's just that the more calls that we get, I think the more
Attention.
we'll get to
Yeah.
the area.
And if you're interested in the letter writing campaign until we get, the official legs under it, because it's just building right now of exactly how it's going to be deployed, is again, contact the info at uptownminneapolis.com, and we'll put you in touch with Kevin Norman, who's, he's on Facebook and so forth, and his subject line on the letter he wrote was called Boycott Hennepin. And
Well, we
that,
don't want that. That's the
Right,
whole. That's
right,
that's
but that's
not
what
what we're
I'm- right.
asking people to do here.
but it made people open it up, and I got the email and I couldn't open it fast enough. Like, oh my goodness, what with all the things that are going in great direction. But the way that he wrote it from a residential perspective, and he wrote it and again you can see it or read it on in Better Minneapolis, where Carol's group published it. If you're interested, because it's not a lengthy letter, but it's very impactful.
Yeah.
And I think a group of residents, along with the neighborhood groups, which are residents, and everybody coming together is exactly what Andrew's talking about, is the perfect thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also kind of demonstrates to people how you don't have to work at a paper or anything like that to have an impact, right? And I think sometimes even just a random resident who doesn't always participate, who just kind of hits their point and sends their local community leaders a letter like that
It's
can have a
huge.
huge.
It was
yeah.
huge.
I'd like everybody, if they could, to sign up for the Uptown Association's emails. If you haven't already and you don't get a regular updates, it's a fantastic way to find out about these meetings and letter writing campaigns. So go to our website and sign up for emails there. And then we can send out an e-blast when we have this meeting, and you can attend and learn how to take advantage of this.
So, one of the other ways I think that we're trying to bring focus and attention to Uptown is the Business Improvement District. So, that's kind of why, Carol, we wanted to hear from you and sort of some of your expertise and why that's being proposed and how it could help Uptown.
So in 1967, in a neighborhood in Toronto called Bloor Street, they were struggling, and shopping malls had just come in. And so they said, what do shopping malls have that we don't have? And the answer was pretty simple. One, there's somebody that controls the space between the businesses. Second, somebody provides public safety in that space, not just cleaning, but public safety in that space, and a shared public safety. And the third thing is shared marketing. And they said, that's what we need to have if we're going to be successful as a neighborhood business area. And so they created what's called a business improvement district. And there's two pieces to it. One is it's a taxing district that underlies it, where the businesses are taxed to provide money to a nonprofit. The nonprofit is controlled by the businesses, and then they do things that whatever that business area needs to thrive. Generally speaking, the first 5 years, it's clean, safe, and marketing. Clean means that snow removal, graffiti removal, but it can also mean wayfaring signs, benches, whatever that space needs to be a physically comfortable space to be in. The second thing is safe, and it's really about not police per se, but to control the space between the businesses. And right now, that's not happening. Nobody is in charge of the street of Hennepin or the sidewalks or the public spaces. And what a bid will do is have eyes on the street, can be street ambassadors, can also be people who are out there cleaning or removing graffiti or whatever, but people who are going to own that space and control that space, which has a really reduces people doing bad things in the space because now it belongs to somebody. The third thing is marketing, and marketing can be marketing to the public in terms of a website or mailers or emails, but also marketing to businesses. But it also can be things like hosting festivals, hosting Dog Day or women's cool half-off drinks night or whatever it is that will bring people into that area. And then the other couple things they're able to do is, one is you've got somebody who can go apply for grants and apply for foundation money and other things that just isn't happening now, and staff. So that it isn't just the business owners that are doing this, but the business owners will have staff to be able to let people know about the poinsettias and to come on a podcast and do all the things that these people are being taken away from their businesses to fight for Uptown. And you would have staff to help you do this work. And so it's a proven model. There's over 1,000 in the United States. The oldest one in the United States was in New Orleans in 1975. It's 50 years old. So it isn't like this is a new thing. Minneapolis has the Downtown Improvement District, proven tool. Milwaukee has organized almost every one of its commercial areas. They have 25 business improvement districts throughout the city. In fact, they have a mini bid. So if you have just a corner with 4 businesses, they have a model there to empower the businesses there. This is proven to reduce crime, not displace crime, but reduce crime, proven to increase sales, increase property values, increase foot traffic. And so we're trying to get this going. And so we've been spending time working with the city to make this happen.
So just to back up a little bit, I think there's something called the SSD right now, Special Service District.
Yes.
And that's through the Public Works Department, is that right?
So right now there are 16 what are called special service districts that have a taxing mechanism just like the bid, except instead of the money going to a nonprofit controlled by business, the money goes to the city. Mm-hmm. And the city provides a very narrow set of services, sidewalk plowing, graffiti removal, hanging of banners, watering plants.
And the graffiti removal is just on public spaces.
Only on public
not
spaces.
on-
Public benches or public posts, it
Bus
doesn't
stop.
cover
Right.
painting on somebody's property, right?
Because it's considered
Right.
private.
And is there still a lot of graffiti happening?
Oh,
you think?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge burden, and it's
Every
and
week
it's a
I'm having it
direct.
repainted, and then it hits my cams.
Your business is having to repaint every
Yeah,
week.
and then this last 2 weeks, we had a stretch there, it wasn't bad, and then we got tagged on all sides, and they came and painted, and I came back the next day and they tagged again.
Mm-hmm.
And, we get charged by the city a penalty if you don't remove it quickly enough.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And also you don't want your business to look
Sure,
like that. So
yeah.
I reach out to my landlord immediately and take Photoshop, pictures and send it in, and then they send somebody out to paint. But that comes directly back onto my CAMS bill. So the business owners, every time you see a graffiti, somebody's paying for that removal.
And I just wanted to explain what a CAM charge is. It's common area maintenance is what it stands for, and every commercial building owner will charge its tenants this common area maintenance charge. And that's anything that it takes to run that building. So that's in addition to your
maintain it.
rent, right? Because the landlord has to pay for his mortgage, and that covers your rent, but then there's other charges, right? Like to run the electrical or the plumbing or remove the snow or to paint over graffiti. So when people say, oh, well, that's the landlord's, well, yeah, but it's a direct hit
It's you guys.
to all the business owners that are in the area. It is a burden to us to have to pay for all these additional fees that we don't necessarily have to pay for in other places,
Right.
like Edina or Excelsior, where they don't have these same issues and they have more foot traffic.
Yeah.
So you talk about what makes a vibrant place for a business and a vibrant place for the community to go. And so a bid can provide it can't be you, but it can surely provide the support that you need in your businesses. And like I said, proven model, and we really need to start using this actually around the city to help boost business And,
All
and to,
over.
and honestly, I mean, there's a charge for you to have a bid, but on the other side, it can reduce a lot of your other costs.
Well, we're already paying in on the SSDs.
Right.
And that's the thing, it's like, what are we getting for the money that we're paying in under the SSDs?
Which is what our motivation is. You know, I've been a small business owner for 26 years and never really was civically involved, is how I would describe myself. But the motivation in being so connected to the community lately in the last couple of years is directly because I see such areas of failure and a need for the community to step up and voice our concerns and find solutions. We need to find solutions that work for everybody.
And we can do that. It isn't that Uptown is dead and it's rolled over and nothing's ever going to happen. That Uptown is on an upswing, but there are still things that need to be addressed. Crime, this question of marketing, ownership of the public space. There are issues with transportation yet that are going to still have to be addressed, but they can be. We can do this. We just have to do it.
So, you know, the business improvement district sounds like it's been effective in a lot of other cities. You mentioned, I think, Milwaukee had a bunch of them. What sort of resistance do you expect to receive, or why would people be opposed to it, I guess?
I think anybody that doesn't really understand it, right? There's a lot of misconceptions about it, that their taxes are going to go up, right? And that's not our intention.
Adversely, which people are freaking out already about their taxes, so that is a big thing that needs to be carefully explained of what our motives are. And
so do they stop paying the SSD tax and then it would just be the, okay.
Right. Well, in fact, we're not asking for any more money than they're currently paying under the SSD. We just want to use it for, instead of giving it to the city, and this, I'll be honest, I mean, government is expensive. You know, you give it to a nonprofit, the nonprofit can provide the same service at a much lower cost, and then because of that, provide more services with the same dollars. And we've done that research.
One of the interesting things to me that you mentioned is this idea of almost being able to curate what stores come in. So is that really possible in a big open area like this as opposed to a mall, to encourage specific stores to get kind of that? Because you don't want to say like 10 sneaker stores, right?
Right.
So how do you...
There are places you have already been that you didn't realize were curated. I mean, there's...
look at what Southdale's been doing lately. You know, they've completely re-imaged themselves.
Yeah.
Rolled up their sleeves and figured out a path forward to reinvent themselves right next to Galleria, who was known for, you know, more upscale shops and stuff. And yet they're finding a balance between both those locations to fill that niche. I find that very, you know, fascinating as an example of what can be done.
That if you go to Milwaukee, I mean, I love Milwaukee. Kind of my, you know, blue collar, big shoulders kind of relatives. Okay, not me, I'm the chunky one, but there's a street that has this grocery store called Glorioso's, which is this amazing Italian deli. Across the street of it is an Italian bakery. Now, if you keep walking, there's a couple really cute clothing stores, some great restaurants, a couple really cool bars. That didn't just happen. And you're not even thinking about it. You're not even thinking that somebody sat and thought through, okay, what do we need next to this? We need a bakery. We need a bar that's like this. Somebody is doing that work. And you're just walking around going, this is great. Oh, I'd really like a drink. Oh, amazing. There's a bar. I mean, my favorite story, I've told you guys this, is the Bronze Fonz. So we're driving by, my sister and I were driving by Milwaukee coming back from the eclipse, and my sister's like, we've got to stop at the Bronze Fonz. And I'm like, the Bronze Fonz? And she's like, we're pulling over into Milwaukee. Well, there's a bronze Arthur Franzarelli statue going, yeah. So of course we had to go have our picture taken, then go by at the Italian grocery and the Italian bakery, and then stop for lunch. And yeah, hundreds of dollars later, we were then out of Milwaukee. But the real interesting question is, how do you get a bronze Fonzarelli? So the business communities got together and said, what is something we could do unique to us that would bring people here? Oh, how about, maybe they had a lot of
man.
drinks, bronze Arthur Fonzarelli. And then they had a mechanism to fund getting a bronze statue there, and then a mechanism to make sure it's on Google, to make sure it gets publicized. So when my sister and I are driving by, she's like, we got to pull in. But the real interesting thing to me is how it gets there and how the business community came together, because they had some organization that's brought them together to have the conversation about what are the things that we can do to activate this place to give people a unique experience to want to come here.
How do we get a bronze prince in Uptown?
Yeah.
I know.
Hey.
No, you think you're kidding? Why not
Yeah,
a bronze prince?
that would be great.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not an outpost from what I'm going to say purple? What's the where Prince's house is?
Oh, in Chanhassen.
That Chanhassen. Why couldn't they do an outlet?
Yeah.
Like a Prince outlet.
Love
Why
that.
couldn't they? Why couldn't Franconia Sculpture Garden? If you've been to like oh man, I'm blocking on my places today. I'm in South Dakota, and the downtown has sculpture on every corner.
Right.
You know, why couldn't we why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we have? I mean, I could riff all day on ideas of things that would be iconic in an uptown, and
Keep going, Carol. I think we're on to something.
And it sounds like that's
so what's
part of
what's
what
the school that's up when you go up on Franklin? What's the school?
Oh, the
Franklin.
You know, Franklin
Oh.
comes over,
Is it
and it's
art
over by the
school?
lake, and it's
You're not talking Kenwood?
is it Kenwood?
Kenwood.
It might be Kenwood.
Yeah.
Didn't Prince go there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Prince went to Kenwood. Well, why are we not talking about Prince being in Uptown?
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and so the Bronze Prince, why not?
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that idea.
Well, and it seems like the BID is kind of a vehicle where it would get people together to like generate ideas like this, and then
Yeah.
have some staff to follow up on it.
Yes.
And,
And a funding mechanism. So if the business community decided we need $10,000 for a Bronze Prince, we will increase our we will tax
And
ourselves to produce
sponsorships.
that. Or you would have somebody who could apply for a grant, or you could have somebody who could
Sponsorship.
any of that. You would have staff.
yeah.
I mean, the things that you could. I mean, what's really fun about the bid models? The first 5 years, it's usually clean, safe, and marketing. I always try and tell everybody. After that, it can go, and it just morphs into whatever that location needs.
Isn't it Des Moines that started with a $300,000
Yeah.
budget?
And
then-
3 years later, it was $3 million.
Not
yeah.
because the businesses were taxed more.
No.
Because there was an executive director there that grew this organization
Yeah.
to a $3 million budget. They
Yeah.
had sponsorships, festivals.
Self-generated
And the area is
revenues,
phenomenal now.
foundation money. You know, RT Ryback, if you're listening, you have foundation money. We could use some of that.
Call us.
But it's hard to do without the vehicle. And once the vehicle is in place and people have something to drive, they drive all over the place, and it's cool.
So would the Uptown Association still exist, or its purpose
Yeah.
would change a little bit, or?
No, I think that, all the business associations that are in the area would still function. And I think that there would be some incredible synergy between the Uptown Association and the BID, and they could work in tandem. There's a lot of opportunity for both to exist, and I think they should.
So what are the steps needed, and like what kind of timeline is this? Is this something that takes a year to launch, or 2 years, or 5 years? What
We've been
what's
working
the
with Public
optimistic-
Works. Well, we've
Depends on
been
who you ask.
we've been working with Public Works. We've been having some resistance, and we are Mayor Fry. Call me, call them. Margaret Anderson Kelleher, call us, please, because we've been having some resistance from some of the staff in Public Works, which has been a big problem.
Is that because they don't want to change, or why would they? Because it seems like if you have this nonprofit doing some of these things, it would actually take things off of their plate, right? Is that-
Personally, I think it's because it's a lot of significant change in the way that the city has been run in the past. And from their lens, they believe that there's valid concern that this board of directors might not be properly vetted or prepared for the workload, and so they want to be they posture that they want to be incredibly careful before this kind of transition or tax dollars are transferred to this nonprofit, that it's prepared and ready to provide all the services, etc. But we're confident we can come up with the proper people
Yep.
with the background and the skill set to run this very effectively, which Downtown Improvement District is in place and is an example. that
And what's
people
the
lean on.
board consist of for that downtown improvement district? Does that have any city people on it, or is it all private, or?
It's private. It's
Yeah.
private, and it's actually, they have a very large board. We've actually proposed a much smaller board, but it's just a much smaller area. So, but I mean, the idea is that the businesses figure out what they need. They tax themselves, and they provide those services. And one of the things that, I mean, is really amazing about the bids is that, you know, it is hyper-local democracy, but it's hyper-local accountability. If you were supposed to get snowplow and, you know, Monday, and you walk out your business and it's not done, you know, you immediately call your bid director, and your bid director hops on it right away. There's no, I mean, the
Yeah,
accountability
well,
for the performance of the bid is right there, because the business owners can see whether or not they did what they said or not. And so they tend to be really successful organizations.
So if you, let's say the Public Works Department is listening and they decide that they're going to work with you on this, then what's the sort of best case scenario of when you could establish something like this? Like
We would
know
like to have an ordinance passed this spring
Okay.
that would then give us a ramp up time. We would like to levy the same amount as we're levying with the SSDs for the first year.
So-
we'd like to get the actual ordinance, because it's going to take an ordinance to set up the taxing district and the requirement for a contract with a nonprofit. I mean, that's the two pieces to that.
So with city council, and then we also need to get signatures of all the owners
Property owners.
in the area, yeah.
Okay.
Which would
And I
be
think it's a minimum of like 25%, you're veto proof with 66%. We're hoping to get everybody's signature. Our plan is to go and knock on as many doors as possible, because number one, we need people's buy-in for this to be a success, and we want the community's involvement. We want everybody lifting together on this.
So we're actually going to bring a petition to the city to kick off the process to get the ordinance set up. So that's going to take getting signatures from property owners and business owners to say we want this. The city then takes that, creates an ordinance, hopefully in the spring, and then we'll have, 6 to 9 months to create the actual organization, hire staff, et cetera, et cetera. So by January 1st of next year, we could start it fully.
Okay. Now, does the state have to be involved at all? Because there's taxes involved?
No.
Okay.
No, there's state law around the creation of these districts, but the state is not involved when we create one.
Well, that should make it a little easier, I would think.
Yeah, I do think it's important to say that we obviously believe that this is a positive path forward,
Yes.
but it definitely needs property owners, etc., who are agreeing to this. It isn't because we think it's a good idea that it's just going to be wrote and that it's going to be done, but based on the conversations, the many, many conversations with the business community and people, we are getting really great positive feedback that we're very optimistic that the signatures are the least of our worries.
Yep.
So when's the next sort of public event where people could come and find out more? Like you're having quarterly meetings, I think. Like if I were a business owner or property owner, what would you want me to do next?
Yeah, we've had a couple events highlighting, discussing this, and kind of educating people on it, but I don't think we've got another one planned in the near future. But if you have questions, just reach out to us.
At that
our
info at uptownminneapolis.com.
uptownminneapolis.com.
Quarterly, the Uptown Association, then the plan now is to have membership, which any of you who would like to join the Uptown Association, we could really use your support. Again, go to the website, there's an opportunity to join. Silver membership is $300, gold membership is $650, which we are using those dollars very wisely, and we need all the support we can get, just like every other group out there that's working hard. But the quarterly meetings that you're referring to traditionally right now is for members of the business association,
Okay.
the Uptown Association, to come, and we'll have different speakers and so forth. The first one we had was with Senator Dibble, and Carol spoke, and we did talk about the BID. And the next one we're planning is in January at Bryant Lake Bowl, and we'll have some other form of topic. But then we've also spearheaded some community events, and we hope to have another community event in the second week of January, and stay tuned for location and time and
Okay.
topic. But we'll, Terry, you were involved with one of our first,
Yeah.
where we did Uptown Theater about safety, and then we did 7 points and had some of the elected people come and speak and talk to the community at large. And then we had the Futures Forum at the Granada that South Uptown neighborhood was really spearheaded. But, those are the events that we still want to continue to keep having because we felt that they were beneficial.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, starting with in this new year, people want to get involved or they like what you're doing and want to support you, that they know exactly how to do that. If they want to find out more information about the BID, should they contact you or
Nope.
go through the association?
The association is handling all of that.
Okay.
And this is all grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't any big corporation or anybody ordering us around. This is people talking to people, talking about what they need and figuring out ways to petition their government to help them get done what needs to get done.
Yeah.
And so we need all of you to get involved because nobody's coming to save us. It's us. And so, and it's mostly these guys. I'm just helping.
that's
Thanks for your work, Terry.
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
and the other people who are making sure we're having these conversations, but sign up, show up. It's us, and we need to make this happen. So
And a little bit of time or a lot of time. There's a lot of ways to get involved without it consuming you.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
important too. A lot of us have a very, very, very busy lives.
Yep.
So there's every range of spectrum. One of them is just come and check out the website and come get a free poinsettia, this week and share the joy of the holidays. That's a fun one.
Yeah, and I mean,
okay, are all the Christmas trees gone? Are there still Christmas
There's
trees?
still some Christmas trees in the lot, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
There's been 3 weekends in a row that the Rotary and the Uptown Association have sold Christmas trees at the 7 Points mulch lot where the farmers market had the music this last summer. And I don't want to misrepresent, I'm not sure if they're still going to hold it again this weekend, but certainly drive on by and see if they're out in the lot selling trees, and or again, info@uptownminneapolis.com, because Eric will deliver. I mean, we're willing, and they're beautiful trees.
They are really
They're
good.
really good, high quality.
they will
trees.
deliver a tree to your house?
Well, within reason. Eric has volunteered. He might hurt me for
Wow.
doing it abroad, but
Call us on that one.
Yeah.
he's very excited about getting rid of all the trees.
Okay.
So we'll try to work with you.
Well, thank you all for coming in today. I mean, I'm definitely, a supporter of seeing Uptown be all it can be. I mean, I think like a lot of people, seen a good deal of changes over the last 15 years. And so, I appreciate your work in trying to bring it back and support new businesses coming in, and the Business Improvement District sounds like an excellent idea. So on that note, any final messages? You want people to contact you for a poinsettia,
Yes, please.
right?
Info at Uptown Minneapolis now.
500 of them.
500, and the plan right now is that they will be delivered on Monday. I don't have the time or exact details yet, so stay tuned. This was breaking news yesterday, so all of us are working hard, but what's really been great? A couple of emails sent out, and it was just like people were returning my calls. Tom Fratelloni from Ace or from the hardware store, and a whole host of other people. I've got a backup location, so it just shows
Yeah.
just how willing
Yeah.
the community is to come together and help.
Yeah, and I think that, that's a good point, because people who maybe aren't all that involved and just pass through Uptown may not realize how many people really do care about it and are behind the scenes working towards making things happen. And so, the thing, how many people are contacting you over something just like that is a sign, and
Motivates
obviously.
me every day.
Great.
every day.
It's so
Yeah.
cool. That's so cool.
And then we want people to go listen to some jazz and maybe hit the wine bars and the theaters, and there's a lot of things to do.
So many options.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jerry.